It's really blue.
Guys, you see my bubble over here? Yeah. This is where we are standing. Wow. Now I'll move it a little bit to the side. We're in the city of Caesarea. Now guys, the first person that made this city, what that it was for centuries, was King Herod. Now a little bit about the guy. A little bit of background. We'll talk about him in different places. It will be in Jerusalem or in Masada. But a little bit of background. He became the king of this land in the year 22 BC. And he was a very crazy person. Okay? And when I'm saying crazy, I'm actually going easy on him. He was a nutty. He was completely insane. He was afraid from the whole world. He was afraid that people will go against him. He was afraid from the Romans. He was afraid from the Jews. He was afraid from the Gentiles, from the pagans. He was afraid from the people that were around him. He was afraid from his wives, from his children, from his assistants. So with them, he didn't want to take any chances. Every time that he was afraid of someone, he just killed him. So he killed his wives, he killed his children, he killed his... Actually, about the wife, I don't blame him so much. I mean,
a generous statement.
No, I'm kidding.
Have you looked around? Mainly women.
I know, that's why I'm telling this joke. I'm blaming myself. No,
Help your career.
but that's why also I'm saying wives, because every time he killed his wife and then he married a new one, and then he did it over and over again. He killed his assistants. He was crazy. One of his problems were also that he wasn't born Jewish. He was born Edomite, he converted to Judaism. That's why that was part of his problems. Why? That the Jews didn't see in him like a legitimate king because he wasn't like born Jewish. The Romans, from the other hand, saw in him Jewish, so he like fell down between the chairs, let's say. The Romans saw in him Jewish, the Jews didn't see, like he couldn't earn from any direction, and he was afraid all the time. That's why many things that he built was because of this craziness. But that was the fact that made him such an amazing constructor, because he was the best builder, the most important builder in the history of this land. He built Jerusalem, he built a temple inside Jerusalem, he built Caesarea, he built Masada and Herodion, he built different places. But every place he built because of this fear. Why is that? Jerusalem he built for the Jews. Caesarea he built for the pagans. So if the Jews will make problems for him, so he'll be able to run away to this place and the pagans will help him. He built Masada that in a case that all that hell will break loose and he'll need to run away to the middle of the desert. We'll put our emphasis today about Caesarea and about the things that he built. He built this city exactly like a Roman city. He adored the Romans. He wasn't a Roman, but he adored them. Some say that he was like a Roman puppet in a way, and in a way he was. But this city he built exactly in the Roman way. We have here theaters and amphitheaters and hippodrome and bathhouse and everything that a real Roman city is supposed to have. Okay? Now I'll do it really quickly because another group is coming. Guys, we are standing over here. We won't be able to see the whole city of Caesarea because you need here a whole day. But this is the theater where that we're going next. This is the hippodrome. The south part of the hippodrome, this area used to be an amphitheater. We'll talk about the difference between a theater to an amphitheater. On the way out, by the way, when we'll go on the bus leaving this place, if I won't forget, I'll show you also this point over here. Here was another hippodrome. And there is a very important pole that's standing over here in the middle of the field. I'll show it to you later on, but remember also this point. Now, after the time of Herod, we had here the Byzantine period. After that, also the Crusaders came here. The Crusaders built a city over here, in this area. I hope that we'll have the time also to see this part of the city. We'll do what we can. Okay? Any questions, guys, so far? Nothing. So let's get going. We'll start here from the theater. Please follow. King Herod built. And someone asked me here about an amphitheater. First of all, I'll start with the fact we have also theaters, we also have amphitheaters, but the first ones who started building the theaters were the Greeks, but they did it really differently than the Romans. Just a couple of points. First of all, the Greeks took a natural hill or something and built all the benches on the hill. The Romans took it from scratch. They built everything on arches, like where we came in. Okay, the vomitorium, the entrance in. But they thought, the Romans also thought, and when I'm talking about Herod, I'm saying Romans because it was the same idea. They thought about different things that actually we are using until today. For instance, the entrance. Until that point, every place that a lot of people used to see, there was one entrance, one exit. The problem is that, let's think that all these places full. When the show is finished, what everybody wants to do? Leave, exactly. If you have one exit, it's a bit of a problem, right? So they thought of doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 2 down. 8 exits, and they called it vomitorium. Vomitorium is from the word vomit. It's vomited the people out. It's true. It's true.
That's true.
Okay, and for instance, you can see the stage. You can see there like a spiral stairs that's going down. Also on the other side. Under the stage, until today, they're using the rooms that used to be for the actresses. But guys, the main issue, the main difference between a theater and an amphitheater was for people to come and see shows. Okay, probably back then it wasn't being used for Madonna, or I don't know who else. I'm sorry that I'm talking about her for a second time today. What happened again?
Glenn Beck was there.
Yes.
Were you aware when Glenn Beck was here?
Yes.
It's right
Yes,
here.
right.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, him I can handle.
And guys, it was the same 2,000 years ago. People came to see performances. Okay, entertainment, but different kinds of entertainment. The amphitheater was used for the gladiators. People also came to see entertainment, but a different kind. For them it was an entertainment. Now I want to show you what's the difference. Of the way that it used to look like. Take a look guys over here. This is the theater. Okay, there was a screen in the back. There isn't a lot of it. You can see like the first rows of the stones in the back. But there was a screen that closed everything. You couldn't see the ocean from here, sorry, the sea. But the stage was just like that. The arena was in the middle. Everything looked more or less like it's standing today. Okay? Now, there are also many parts here that are original from the time of Herod. For instance, this roll over here is original. Because we are using this stadium until this theater until today, like we just spoke about, so most of the benches are new, but they reconstructed it in the way that it used to be. Things that have been changed through time is, for instance, the arena, the part in the middle. How do I know that it's not from Herod's period? Herod never used marble. There is no marble in the Holy Land. So today we don't have marble here. We're bringing it from Italy, from different places. So only in the Byzantine period they started bringing marble. So everything that you see here from marble, including the statues that I didn't stop near outside because there was a group over there, everything is from later on, mostly Byzantine period, sometimes later, but mostly Byzantine period. Now, the acoustic here is amazing. I'm not going to send any one of you where I am. He's smiling. You want to go and sing something for us?
Okay.
Who likes to sing for us something?
Dad, you have a good voice.
I sing.
You sing?
Go
What
sing.
do you want?
I sing to Jesus, Joshua, HaMashiach.
Never mind. Trust me, guys. The acoustic here, I can go there and speak in the same voice that I'm talking to you right now. Everybody will hear me perfect.
Oh, wow.
Perfect.
Very
Glenn Beck will stand over there. I don't know if he used the mic or not, but he didn't have to. We're doing it all the time when it's a little hard to close the whole theater just in the middle of the day because many people are coming here. But in the times that we do that, people sometimes talking without any mics, nothing, and everybody can hear them just perfectly. We'll see it also in Bet Shean.
I just want,
We'll do it in Bet Shean. Okay.
I just want to ask a question.
No, you want to say a couple words?
A couple of things here.
Okay.
I mentioned it yesterday concerning this, but and he brought it up today, so I want to reiterate this, driving this back home. In Acts chapter 10, there was a certain man in Caesarea. So we know exactly where that was, right? Called Cornelius, a centurion, so he's a soldier, which was called the Italian regiment, a devout man who feared God with all his household and gave alms generously to the people, prayed to God always. In the 9th hour of the day, he saw a vision of an angel of God coming to him, saying, Cornelius. When he observed him, he was afraid and said, what is it, Lord? He said, your prayers and your alms have come up before a memorial for God. Send men, not one, send men to Joppa and send for Simon, whose surname is Peter. He is lodging with Simon, a tanner. So this Simon is not a scribe. He's a regular tanner. Simon, a tanner, whose house is by the sea. So the Bible gives us very clear descriptions on where these things are. Caesarea, Joppa, by the sea. Here's what you're going to look for, Simon the tanner's house, and then he said send him. Now, he told us just a while ago that anybody who lives here now is a very wealthy person. So this Cornelius guy was probably well-to-do because he sent more than one guy. What's the distance again? About 40 miles. So to send them to come get them here. Ironically, you had one of the disciples here already. Philip was here. But God didn't want to use Philip for this. He wanted to use Peter for this. And so he got Peter up here. Now, last night I told you that was about 2 years difference. I was wrong. I was too tired, right? It was out of my head. Actually, it had been 10 years
Oh, wow.
since Jesus had given the assignment to go to all the world and preach the gospel. Well, if you're going to go into all the world, because Jesus mentions Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, the outermost parts of the world. Well, this would have been the outermost parts of the world, or the beginning of the Roman Empire, right? Right here. A couple of other things that are interesting here. We're going to go down in a minute and see it, where Paul stood before Felix when he went out as a prisoner and sent. They sent him from Jerusalem. The Sanhedrin had arrested him, and they sent him here because what he did was he claimed his Roman citizenship. So when he claimed his Roman citizenship, they had to send him to where Rome was. Well, Rome was here. Pontius Pilate, you may talk about that. Pontius Pilate reigned from here, not from Jerusalem. He only went to Jerusalem, I think, on high holy days or certain feasts. And when Jesus was killed on Passover, killed, by the way, by the Romans on Passover, that was why Pilate was even in town. Otherwise, he would have been here. So it's a pretty significant place, and why we came to visit it and to see it. This is where the wild branches were first grafted in. And so that's why it's an important thing for me, it's an important thing for you, and this is why we bless Israel. So I think he's going to show us now where Paul stood before Felix. We'll go see that, and who knows, maybe we'll talk about that there and go forward.
I have a question.
Question.
I just wanted to ask, how far from this actual site did Herod live? Where were his living quarters? Were they
Here in
miles?
Caesarea,
Yes.
we are going to see
We're
his
going
house.
to see, and that is
But Herod usually stayed in Jerusalem in his time.
but
Okay?
Pilate was here.
Pilate stayed here. Yeah.
Yes, and did
I'll
Pilate
talk
live in
a
the
little
same?
more about
Okay.
that part. Okay. Also, we'll
Okay.
see the palace of Pilate. Okay.
Okay.
We're going there. Don't worry.
Okay. Just one.
How do you know? This is
It's got a cross.
Among other reasons.
right.
That's
I'll shut up.
Good.
One way to know.
First of all, in the Holy Land, you can know because of the marble, because of the process. But you know, I don't want to start talking about the symbolism of the cross, but it started much before this. But here, when you find the cross, it have to be from the. But I want to show you here a map. Please follow me, guys. It was brought to Caesarea. If it was in the Herodian period, if it was later on. You can see straight up. Yeah, we are here in Caesarea, exactly. And the red marks is from the different places that the stone was brought. Now, because that we are talking about different periods here, take a look straight up. You can see it's like a graveyard of different things that they found over here. From different periods, most of it is just laying just like that. Even before, behind the fence over there, we have many other things. Most of them columns, but also other ones. Now, I want you to take a look behind you. Standing there for a while, but move them very gently. Guys, this is a sarcophagus. Now, a sarcophagus was like a coffin in the period of Jesus, also later on. This is from 5th, 6th century. But you need to understand something. Most of the... Come closer to me, guys, please. Most of the people back then weren't being buried like today, that every person has his own tomb. I'll move to this. Most of the people, I'm talking about 97, 98% of the people, were buried in the backyard of the house, of the general area, or just in the field. Maybe they put a couple of stones near their grave, but that's it. Only the richest people got a sarcophagus. But not sarcophagus like this. Sarcophagus maybe like that one, something like this one, or made from wood.
Now, one thing that
From the local stone.
when we come to the harbor, the old harbor of
This is a sarcophagus that someone like, I don't know, Bill Gates, okay?
Oh,
Bill Gates will buy something like this.
It's fun, you know,
Very, very expensive. You have here different things marked over it, and I'll talk about them in a second. But sarcophagus, it means flesh eater. Because basically they put your body inside, and nature makes its part. But guys, take a look. You see those ones, this and that. What do you think this is?
the people there
We have also two in the back.
go all the way to Sinai.
It's like the horns of the altar. The altar in Jerusalem, there was a tradition in the Bible period that if someone killed someone unintentionally and the family of the dead wanted to kill him, like make a lynch out of him, so he could run to Jerusalem and hold the horns of the altar. Then no one can do anything to him. It became very, very important Jewish symbol. Although that over here, actually a Christian priest, probably a very, very wealthy one, was buried. Still, it's coming from the Judaism. And actually, in the first couple of days, when they found it over here, it was such a big thing and such a beautiful one. They actually thought for a short time that it was actually the sarcophagus of Herod. They made 1 + 1 and they understood very quickly that it's not, but it was so fancy that they thought that it really is, but of course it isn't. It isn't inside, except people that thinking that it's a trash can and it's going we don't have anything inside. Okay guys, please let's carry on. I'm sorry we're in a little rush over here because there are many groups and we need to give the place for the different ones. The most important thing for us when we're digging in different places in Israel, it doesn't matter so much where, is to find something written. The most important thing for us when we are digging, for instance, we'll visit the city of David in a couple of days, if we could find over there a sign that says welcome to the palace of King David, it would be the best. Usually we can't unfortunately find those things, but this palace that we are in was the governor palace. in the period of Jesus, the governor was sitting here in Caesarea. Caesarea became the capital of that time. But in the week, like Pastor Greg said before, the week of Passover, the Holy Week, when Pontius Pilate was actually in Jerusalem, it was just because he came for the Passover. It's like, I don't know, today the chief of police, if there is a big celebration, he wants to be around when can be problems. So that's why he was in Jerusalem. But this was his palace. We found here a stone that wasn't actually found here. It was found as part of the benches in the theater that we sat in. That says the words Pontius Pilate. The actual other things are not so important what was written about him, but this is the only place outside the New Testament that we found the words Pontius Pilate actually exist. And it makes sense because this was his capital for a couple of years. Okay? Take a picture, please. Let's carry on and give her. You know that it's a well, except the fact that it's written. Maybe it's a cistern. No, not necessarily. No. The big ones from Masada, yes, but this side is not necessarily. The main difference. You know what is a cistern, by the way? A well is supposed to bring the water from around, from the aquifer. Okay, so it's going in. A well, a well is supposed to bring it, from the aquifer. A cistern is supposed to hold it inside. A cistern will be always plastered, always, because it has to hold the water inside. So this is a well. Right now, a cistern, you can't see any plastering. Now, although today we are like in the middle of the sea, the level of the sea was increasing in the last 2,000 years a lot. It used to arrive something like 200, 250 meters away from where it's reaching today. But all over Caesarea, in the time of King Herod, they were only relied on those wells. It was enough for them. Later on, when the city got bigger and bigger, they started bringing water with the aqueducts from elsewhere, from mostly around Carmel Mountain. But around that time, those were enough. Now, unfortunately, in Gaza, they destroyed, in the Gaza Strip, they destroyed most of the underground water that they used to have on the coast because they used to pump everything, and there is always a balance in nature between fresh water and salt water. So they over-pumped it, and now it's all destroyed. But anywhere, this is not working for a while. Okay? That's well that we used to have 100 meters in, used to work until 30 years ago, and today they are not. Now let's go there. Those people are moving. I want to show you the palace of the Crusaders. And no, but you probably want that because of there was the jail. It used to be his palace. Because of different money issues, like everything in life is all about money. Unfortunately, they don't have enough, so they didn't close it in the right way. But everything over here were mosaic floors. We'll talk more about the mosaic from the period of King Herod, because it's one of the first mosaics in the world. But Herod, although that he had here a palace, a great palace, he didn't actually live here for so long. He stayed mostly in Jerusalem. He had here a palace, he had in Masada 2 palaces, but he stayed most of the time in Jerusalem. He wanted to have those places just in case. Now there is an argument, guides like to say that in the middle it used to be a swimming pool, although that I don't really take it. It looks like one, so it goes really nice. Tourists love hearing that.
The sea was out farther.
Yes. Something like places they use like leaves or something, but usually with fresh water. Until today, in places like India, you'll never shake someone's left hand because they're still using that to clean their backside. Okay? Tons of people today. Okay, guys, please follow me. If you want to take a picture. Now, who saw the movie Ben-Hur? Okay, most of you. So you know what Hippodrome is? It was the place for the contest of the wagons, of the horses, and people went around. And we're talking about a little bit after. You see that group there in the middle? A little bit after that, we'll walk there so you'll see how big is the stadium is. We have 300 meters over here, almost 1,000 feet. Okay, long. Now, tell me something. Where was the best seat in the house?
Right there.
The latrine?
Yeah.
Actually, something like here. Why here?
See, all the way down and all the way back.
No, no,
The finish line.
no. People then didn't care about the finish line. When people came to see this contest,
See people hurt.
exactly. No, we are talking about the horses, not about the gladiators. Okay, but still killing each other. Not exactly killing each other, being killed. Okay. Where is the highest probability that something will happen?
The turn.
The turns, exactly. Now, if you'll see it over here, actually it's a bit of a problem because something can fall on you. So, let's say over there used to be the best place because then you are pretty safe and you see the whole turn. Or over there or on the opposite side, on the other side. By the way, those benches continued also over there and from all the directions. We're talking about 9,000 people that could sit over here. I don't remember if in the theater I told you there were something like 4,500, close to 5,000 people that could sit over there. And when we found actually this place, all those walls were full with frescoes.
Wow.
Unfortunately, when we discovered it again because of issue of money, they didn't reconstruct it, they didn't work on it, so it got faded. But they put it, those ones over there just to show you those paintings, just to show you how it used to be. Also over there, we'll walk over there and you'll see that also. Now this hippodrome was built in the time of Jesus. In the time of King Herod, great Herod, around 10 BC. Later on, it became an amphitheater. Now I want to show you again the picture that I showed you before about the difference between the theater and the amphitheater. Guys, this is the theater that we saw before. This is the amphitheater. By the way, this is a hippodrome. But the amphitheater, first of all, it was round or shape of an egg, just like the Colosseum for the ones that were in Rome. But people came here to see blood. People came here to see the gladiators killing each other, or animal fighting against an animal, or animal against a man. This was built after the time of Herod. But also the amphitheater in the beginning of the Byzantine period. It didn't happen in a day or 2 days or even a year, but slowly and slowly, because the Christianity was against those things, so less and less people started coming here. In some point they started selling some of the property here as a real estate. You can see over there, like you see the benches, and in some point it's getting cutted and something coming in. Those are Byzantine villas. And everything over here was full with them. When we digged here, we took everything out. We left only that part over there, just that we'll be able to see exactly what was also in the Byzantine period. So we're talking here about different periods of time. Okay? Now, the level of the sand was something like at least 1 meter lower. Take a look on the first row. You can see that it's higher than the other ones. But because it was lower, so we're talking about something like 2 meters, maybe 3 meters. So the lions and the gladiators wouldn't be able to jump into the audience. Destroys all the fun. Okay? Now guys, we are cutting to the other side. Please walk in a good... wanted a much smaller one because they wanted to be able to defend it. So you can see the walls. We'll go also in a couple of minutes out from the most, for me it's the most beautiful gate in Israel. We'll see it, it's from the Crusaders here. But in the time of Herod, I didn't talk to you yet about the port. I said it in 2 words yesterday. But Herod, the most important thing that he built here was the port. was a huge port, probably one of the biggest ones in the world back then. There was enough room here for 200 large ships to dock. It was something amazing, 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 amazing. And people came here from all over the Roman Empire to deal with the locals in the land of Israel because of that port. That's why the city, also after the time of Herod, became so big. Now today most of the port is actually under the water. We can't really see it, but the entrance to the port was from around here. Again, it's not exist today. This wall is from the 11th century, but it was from over here, and it was around there. I'll show you exactly where used to be one of the docking places inside here. Okay, but I'm talking with you about two different periods of times, and it's a mix of it. Follow me, guys. In the last couple of years, they opened here scuba diving club, and people actually going scuba diving to see it as a pagan city. So he built over here a temple for Augustus Caesar. He was the Caesar at that time, so he made a temple for him. In the Roman period, generally, every time that there was a Caesar, he was like the god. Okay, in the pagan period, before the Byzantine period, like in the Roman period, not in the Byzantine. But over here, more or less to that line, where the grass is, all that used to be a part of the harbor over here, okay, of the port. The first thing that people saw when they came off the boat was this temple for Augustus. Now later on, it became a prison, and St. Paul was sitting here for a while.
First of all, Paul was in Jerusalem, had been arrested by the Sanhedrin. The high priest and the chief men of the Jews informed him against Paul. They petitioned him, asking him favor that he would summon him to Jerusalem. This is when Festus had come up from the province, 3 days from Caesarea to Jerusalem. So he left from here, went to Jerusalem. They had this prisoner there named Paul. They all began to talk to him about the things that were happening. It says they had been there many days. Festus laid Paul's case before the king, saying, "There's a certain man left a prisoner by Felix, about whom the chief priests and the elders of the Jews informed me when I was in Jerusalem, asking for a judgment against him. To them I answered, it's not the customs of the Romans to deliver any man to destruction." And so all while that's going on, they bring him here, they leave him here, and then he goes and he stands, I guess, back here in that, it would have been in that, where he was tried, over there with Felix. Would that have been where it was? In the Herod's?
Yeah, probably.
Because you got Agrippa saying, "I permit you to speak for yourself." And so Paul begins to take his own petition and his own deal. When Paul appealed to be reserved for the decision of Augustus. So once again, that's now Paul saying, Augustus Caesar. He is asking, I'm a Roman citizen, I have the right to stand before him. So he would have been imprisoned, I guess, what, here? Here. He would have been imprisoned here. He would leave on a ship from here, and then you know all about his journeys as he went and stood before Caesar. So once again, the Bible's given us a very clear description where that would have been, who that would have been, given us the timeline and the date line, and we're getting to see that. From this point, many things happened to Paul. He was shipwrecked, and the one thing that he kept in front of his brain all the time is what the Lord had told him. An angel of the Lord stood by me this night and said, "You're not going to perish. You must stand before Caesar." And so, in all the things that came to him, a shipwreck, after he's done that, he comes up on the beach and a viper bites him on the hand. Remember that? He shakes it off, and all of those things. And all of those things, he knew, I must stand before Caesar. So that's why he would say, "My grace is sufficient. I know what the income is going to be." And so it happened from here. This is where, tied this all together again. Peter is in Joppa, where we were yesterday. Cornelius lives here. God visits Cornelius in a vision. Send for Peter. Peter comes here. Then the next generation, if you will, of ministers is Paul. And Paul comes out from here to go to the Gentile world. Became then, I guess, the apostle for the Gentiles. And here to Rome.
Now guys, just one small thing to add. I have just 1 minute, not to read. I just want to show you this, because this is the beauty in the Holy Land. You can go to Europe to many different places. You'll see probably nicer theaters or more beautiful amphitheaters or I don't know what. But the only place in the world that you can walk with this book in one hand and to read from it and to see the actual places that are happening is here. And we're doing it and we will do it all the time. And this is the amazing thing here. Okay? Guys, please follow me. All the time with the Muslims, with the Mamluks. So they built smaller cities that were very, very safe. We can say it wasn't really safe because the Muslims got here, but they tried to build huge walls and very protected entrances and everything that will be very, very safe and close to the port. So in the worst case, they'll be able to run back to Europe. About the Gothic, I told you that this is Gothic. For many years, they used to think that the Gothic architecture started actually in Europe. Today we know that it actually started in the Holy Land. Because there are still arguments about that. Some people saying that it's actually started in the 9th century. I don't remember which church in Europe. There is something that looks very familiar to the Gothic, but let's leave it on the side. Today, most of the people believe that it's actually started in the Holy Land. You can see that the arches are like pointed ones. They're not real art. They're like that. And the columns, like there were columns in some of them underneath. This not exist today, but it started the arch from halfway up. But except that, about the gate itself, they used to build the gates around that time and even before, or like shape of serration in Hebrew, but what letter? Like R, okay? It's the same. Like R, like that. Why is that? So if the military, I don't know, with the horses, everybody are coming, running toward the gate, they have to stop and then take a turn. Here they made actually 2 turns. One from over there. The way out is through there. So they came here, then they need to turn, and if they are already past here, they somehow came through here because this was one door. Here there was one door. Okay? And the Crusaders were sitting up and threw rocks and hot oil and whatever they could on the people that tried to break in. And even when they broke in here, they needed to pass also another door over here so they could be stuck again. Very, very hard, and eventually they did it. The Mamluks, with a guy by the name of Baibas, he conquered the Holy Land from the Crusaders and threw them back to Europe. Okay, guys, we're going back now to the bus. It's not that this is the oldest one. The oldest one is actually lower, and when we'll get to the highest point over there, they digged the deepest. And they got to the lower levels. But this is from the Canaanite period, something like 3,500 years ago. This was the gate of the city. Now, if you come here to the middle, I want to show you a couple of things over here. In different places, we'll see different gates. If 2 hours ago or 1 hour ago, we saw one gate in Caesarea from 1,000 years ago, the gates of back then, of the Canaanite period, were completely different. But this city, because it was maybe the most important city of that time, they needed a very, very strong doors or a gate into the city. So first of all, guys, wherever you see this line, the concrete line, see this? Going all around, you see it in different places in the site over here. Everything that is underneath of that is original. Not with, like the wood, this is not original, but all the rest is original. Whatever that is above it is a replica. Everywhere here. in different places that we'll visit in Israel, sometimes it's a black line, sometimes it's concrete, sometimes there are different ways. Here it's the concrete. But the gate was built with one path over here and another one over there. It was because of different reasons. In some point, they used to close it down. But in some point, the soldiers were just standing here on both sides, and everybody that tried to go in, they tried to catch him, to shoot him, not to shoot him, to stop him. Okay, also from here, also from over there. But the entrance, this was a very, very important part of the city. The place that was just before the gate. Remember that part over here. Because here happened the most important things of the city. But we'll talk more about that when we'll be in Dan tomorrow. Because over there you can see it much, much better than over here. Now guys, we're going in, we're continuing of climbing up. After you're passing this gate, take a look to your right. Over there is a period of time. Again, 3,000 years from the time of Solomon. Solomon name. Okay. Now let's keep on here. Again, you remember, I'll be talking about more. You remember that in Caesarea, I told you.
How many of you love future prophecy?
Yeah.
We get to hear a lot of the archaeology and all the civilizations that have come through Megiddo. Here we are, we've got this Jezreel Valley. What was it, 9 miles wide, 12 miles wide? How long?
7 on 12 from, something like that. Jezreel Valley.
Yeah, Jezreel Valley. So Diana was asking me earlier, how could all the nations that come against Jerusalem, and you know, the Bible talks about it, this place, it's not just in Christian scripture, it's Jewish prophecy as well from Zechariah. And I just wanted to read you a couple of verses just to kind of catch the magnitude of where we are here prophetically. It says, "Behold, the days coming," in Zechariah 14:1, "and your spoil will be divided in your midst, for I will gather all of the nations, Kol Goyim, to battle against Jerusalem. The city will be taken, the houses rifled, the women ravished, half of the city will go into captivity, but the remnant of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then the Lord will go forth and fight against those nations." You don't want to rouse the wrath of God. He comes off his throne as he fights in the day of battle. In that day his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, which faces Jerusalem on the east. The Mount of Olives will be split in two from east to west, making a very large valley. Half of the mountain shall move toward the north, half of it toward the south. Then you shall flee through my mountain valley, for the mountain valley shall reach to Etzal. Where is Etzal? Azal? The mountain valley shall reach all the way to Azal. Okay. Well, it's probably near here. And so we see here that there's going to be a mighty battle. All the nations, the kings of the east will come. 200 million men army, right, from the east. And we can fit several million people in here. And it says all nations. How can that happen? Well, the United Nations. So we're standing in a place, this is going to be the ultimate showdown in the last days. And what we're seeing on the news every night is all of the wrath of the nations. God said it ahead of time. We're living in that generation. I believe, in my humble opinion, we're going to see this battle in our lifetime. So we're standing here now. So kind of just look out here. You can kind of picture whether it's going to be nuclear, what type of battle it's going to be, we're not sure. But all the kings, they're going to come against Jerusalem. Jerusalem is going to be a cup of reeling, a cup of poison, it says, literally in the Hebrew, to the world. And so we see in the news every night, Jerusalem is a cup of trembling, and they're going to gather here. And we're going to see it via CNN. And it can happen, and it can happen soon. So just kind of grasp the whole magnitude of what you're looking out here, picturing that last battle, and we're going to see it. And it's exciting. I'm excited about it. I'm not excited because I know revival goes along with judgment. So the nations are going to be judged, and Pastor Greg loves to talk about the different nations being a sheep or a goat nation. You don't want to be on the left of anything because that's where the goat nations are. And we want to be a sheep nation. We keep praying that the United States will be one of these nations that won't come against Jerusalem. So keep Obama in your prayers that we might remain a sheep nation and not have to come to this valley and be judged by God.
I'll go ahead. I was going to talk up there, and we're all here, so let's just do it real quick. Ofer, you help me if I get this wrong. I want to give you some geography. Unfortunately, you can't see it on a really clear day. You can see for miles here. So that's why whoever held this, being the trade routes, the road that he talked about, it's very important. Behind us is the start of Mount Carmel. Is that right? Where Elijah and the prophets of Baal was this way. Nazareth is it that way? That way, right there?
You see the mountains, the beginning of the chain of mountains, it's reaching, and over there is mountains.
So there's Nazareth. To give you a perspective about our Lord. So he would have known about this place. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So there's Nazareth. Mount Gilboa is this way. So Mount Gilboa, one of my favorite guys in all of the Bible. Does anybody know who that is? Huh? Samuel. It's King Saul. Who else? Gideon and his mighty men and all that. All right here. So the Persians, the Assyrians, the Egyptians, even the British, the Mongolians, every nation already has come here. Not that they're just going to, but they already have. Every nation has had to handle that question. Are you going to be a sheep nation or are you going to be a goat nation? How will you treat the apple of God's eye, which is the Jewish people and the land of Israel? And it all happens right here. It has always happened right here. And there will be one more final battle that Rabbi Joel mentioned about. There's one thing that really speaks to me. Ahab and Jezebel have their palace was not here, was it? It was their
palace, yes. The winter palace. The winter palace was there in Jezreel. It was the city of Jezreel.
But his chariots were
here. Was the palace, yes.
Okay, so Ahab's chariots. Remember the prophet outrunning Ahab's chariots and all that? That's right here. Now, the thing about Ahab and Jezebel that really speaks to me, I had a revelation moment here. Pardon the pun, revelation moment. I had a moment here where I came to realize that she had set up her own priest. She had set up her own prophets. She had set up her own pastors, if you will. And those people came against Elijah, and Elijah mocked them on Carmel, back here, right? And then he ran down the valley, and this is where he said, I see a rain and all that. Remember that it rained, it didn't rain for 3 years. And it came to my attention that every nation's going to have to answer for how they treated Israel and the Jewish people. That's what this battle symbolizes. That's what every nation and empire that's come through here has symbolized. America has yet to have to answer, and we will have to answer how we're going to treat Israel. I'll mention that when we get to Jerusalem. But it came to my attention that I'm not going to be a government pastor. If I'm more afraid of my IRS status than I am of the Almighty, I am a Jezebel pastor. I have become a false minister, just like she had raised up. And so I want to be an Elijah. I don't want to be one of her pastors. And so what I want you guys to take away from this is, will you be a Gideon? Will you be an Elijah? Will you be a person that stands for truth and stands for grace and stands for righteousness? And that's what this place speaks to me, is I refuse to bow my knee to the government of the United States. I refuse to compromise my values like the President has just asked the Catholic Church to do, or anybody else. So today, I'm an Israeli, and I'm a Catholic, and I'm a Protestant, right? Because it's time for the righteous to stand up, and that's really what Megiddo, for me, represents, right? All right, we're moving forward. Is that right? Yes. Good. Okay.
I'm the second, something like 2,800 years ago. And it was deeper than it is today. They didn't dig all the way. It was a couple of meters lower. You can see the stairs that you have all around to go down. And it was probably covered with something that we didn't find. When we don't find it, it's usually or was covered with some kind of hay or something, or with wood, but nothing built. But again, you need to remember that Megiddo was a very important city. They had always to be buried and to be ready for battle. That I told you that there were here a lot of them. Now over there, guys, you can see the stables. This is one of two stables that we have. One we passed here, that you can see it over there. Here is small palace. And those stables, those are the second stables. We have the north here. You'll go there and continue your back. So I want to tell about that and then about the water system and then I'm going back. Guys, in this battle, Ahab donated to this alliance 7,000 carriages. It means that if every carriage had 2 horses, so he had a lot of horses. Now those horses probably didn't fit on those 2 stables, he had probably more, but just to explain how big this city was, how powerful this city was, here he used to sit, okay? Pastor Greg said it before, Ahab, this was his main palace. He had a couple of other ones, but this was his main. So this is just like a small taste of the stables that he probably had here much more. You'll be able to go there and see. After that, you're going down through the water system. Now the most important thing we know in a city is the water. The problem with the water was the fact that the spring, the river, went not inside the city, it was outside the city. Usually there is no problem with that whatsoever. But when you have a war, so you're under siege, you're closed inside the walls, you can't go out. So what they did over there? They dig down. Everything was made by men. They dig down until they got to the level of the water. And then in the underground, the aquifer came in. So what that you're going to do, you're going down and you reach the level of the water. I wasn't here in last 2 months, so probably there a lot of water because it was pretty good winter. But don't worry, you won't walk inside the water. But after you go down, you'll go in a tunnel and then you'll start going up. The part that you'll start going up, this was closed, like no one would go in from there because there were no stairs. You'll see that when the stairs that you're going down, it's new one, but it's on top of old ones from that period of time. But on the other side, there wasn't anything. No one could come from over there and enter to the city. But it brought the water into the city. You threw the buckets down and you had water inside the city. Okay? Now on the...
Nice. Oh. Wow.
job, Joe, man. Good job. Oh, this is in the metal.
Coming up.
Good job, Cecilia.
Come on, Ed.